Okay, so again, I'm Tom. I'm the founder of Eleviam, and I'd be interested to know that some of our attendees where you guys are currently selling today and what your focus has been in chat this year. We're going to jump into kind of the growth curve and what we're seeing kind of happening across the entire e-commerce space, and a little bit about us. Before Eleviam became kind of a full-fledged end-to-end agency for Amazon and TikTok Shop, we were heavily on the 3P exclusive side. We've been on your side of the P&L. We're more on the operator side and consultant side. And I personally invested just shy of $5 billion into inventory. We've scaled 40 plus brands. The numbers are on the slide, and we can jump into presentation today. So if growth feels harder this year, it's not you, or not just you rather. I mean, every channel has gotten more expensive at once. Amazon CPCs are up again, and all in, push taking half basically of revenue. Meta's CAC is up, 40 to 60%, and ROAS has been dipping down over the, trending the last couple of years here. And really, the brands that are still growing and excelling this year didn't find a cheaper channel, but they built a system where all the channels work together. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today. TikTok Shop has been obviously a big topic for a while now, and there's a lot of reasons why, but one of them is just in 2026 alone, their US GMV is up 140%, and $30+ billion in the first half of 2026, and they've accomplished in 3 years what took eBay 30. And if you look at the actual acquisition math, the $6 to $12 blended CAC through affiliates versus 45 to 75 on Amazon and Meta and other channels, that's why TikTok is the top of the funnel right now. And really how the impact of this drives through is that 103 billion purchase intent searches by US users last year alone, and 3/4 of them were about new brand from creators, right? So this search intent has moved upstream. Affiliates and creators are so powerful because essentially you're manufacturing word of mouth, right? And that's the most powerful form of marketing that you can have. 2/3 of them on TikTok will make an impulse buy depending on the price range and the actual type of product. But a lot of them then are now curious and will go look other places to validate the product, make sure that there's the real rationale to buy it and they're making the right purchasing decision. So Amazon comes into play here because people don't convert where they scroll typically, right? Not everyone trusts TikTok or Meta the same way that they do Amazon. So they validate first. And 90% of people who find a product somewhere else, whether that's in their feed, whether that's in store, will actually go and look up that product on Amazon. Right? It's a default. It's just the consumer buying behavior that this is a platform that everyone goes to ensure that does the product actually solve the problem that they're trying to accomplish, or will they get the outcome that they're trying to achieve with that product? It's the most trusted platform in the country, and it's your validator for every marketing dollar that you spend essentially everywhere else. So TikTok creates the demand, and this is kind of what the machine looks like, right? So the top of the funnel, the creators put your product in front of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people, and the curiosity then drives them to go looking for the proof. And that's where the search for the trust lives on Amazon. Some people will then also go look at your D2C site. They're interested in, getting to know the brand in a more intimate sense and actually really doing their research. People go to Walmart, other platforms as well, but really your D2C site and Amazon is where people will go. So every dollar generated on TikTok comes back around $2 to $3 across those shelves, and each recapture helps to then boost your organic sales lift. Something, if as brand owners in here, with a quick, kind of gut check, does your category get discovered on social? And would your listing convert a huge demand if the actual intention and traffic hit it next month? And just kind of circling back with a lot of the buying behavior, but 37% of the revenue lands everywhere else besides TikTok Shop. And Liquid IV, for example, geo-tested it, and 62% of the true impact landed on Amazon. So if you're looking at TikTok and judging it by its dashboard alone, you're going to start making decisions that don't actually reflect the impact with your brand across omni-channel, essentially, right? Here's one of the brands that, this is an example that we actually deployed. We first optimized Amazon, got everything dialed in there, and then we scaled up. Just, again, this is a pretty small case study, and with a lower investment of about $2,000. Granted, they have great gross margins, but 99 videos from that. And we saw sessions increase by 31%. We saw, new to brand customers basically increase to 995, and, 50K plus new to brand buyers. Okay. And your ROAS here with product seeding can be fixed depending on the commission that you're running. So that was with 75 creators. Now imagine doing this with 200, 300, 500 with a real game plan and execution, that's kind of really where the power of this is, right? Across the CPG market, these are some other data points that I pulled. Built Bar, $20+ million on TikTok Shop. Easy Bombs, 19 million in 1 year. And that velocity, won them Walmart and Albertsons shelf space, just due to the massive demand for the brand. Final Sour Boss, 8 million, 500% D2C halo effect. And the other interesting part is that a lot of retail buyers are also now paying attention to TikTok Shop. What are the emerging brands? What are the brands that are doing incredibly well? And seeing that momentum in real time also can lead to you being very well positioned to pitch large big box retail moving forwards as well. So if you run this right, then you're enhancing not just recapturing on Amazon or on your D2C site, you're really positioning your brand online and potentially in the physical shelf space as well. So why doesn't this happen by default? There's 3 leaks that are common. TikTok runs in a silo, so the halo never really gets counted, and then they pull back funding, or they say, oh, TikTok doesn't work for us. Your Amazon is not actually positioned to convert the intent and the curiosity that is already being created. So the other issue is that people aren't looking at numerous channels at once, right? And looking at the true impact by tracking sessions, new to brand customers, and you end up paying for the same customer at least twice. So again, foundation here, right? Order of operations is to have a very strong foundation before you go onto TikTok Shop and go hard at that. The reason is you want to be set up to capture that curiosity and that demand that is generated at the top of funnel, right? Do it out of order and don't execute this properly. There's a lot of issues that come from that. If your meta site is not dialed in with the correct pixels and tracking and UTM parameters, if you don't have the correct foundation, you're kind of wasting time and money on TikTok Shop, ultimately, I think, or you're not recapturing the dollars that you should be. And a few other things that we see, right? These 3 moves matter. Let's say you have your foundation, your other channels are as optimized and dialed in as you can do with your current data. Then the first move is to launch. One thing we see a lot of brands do is try to launch their whole catalog at once. Think about launching a product on Amazon. If you're new to Amazon, you wouldn't necessarily try to launch 30 products all at the same time. So you want to launch one SKU, not the whole catalog. And you want to pick it on basically 3 different signals, right? So proven organic sales. So from the TikTok Shop product card, GMV per video. So how many videos are your creators actually putting out? And what is the GMV return ratio there? And also your supply chain logistics, right? Can you product seed aggressively enough while also fulfilling all the orders that are coming in? Scaling and sequence too is one thing to really understand. Is most creators aren't going to convert. It'll be a lot of volume. That's how you're going to actually find the winners. For anyone here that runs meta ads or D2C side of things, you understand how this works as well. Your ad creative, you have to have a lot of angles, hooks, and different content styles to be able to actually get your audience to engage and convert. Same thing kind of applies here. But instead we're using creators instead of making our own ads and deploying them that way. So, and then the third part of this is ensuring when you're working with creators that you actually have the correct foundation and structure a contract in such a way that you have the rights to the content following, right? So you can use not only the smart codes to run and enhance Meta, Google, but you can also then recycle that content on your other platforms and be able to use it on your organic side as well. You're continuing to push your organic while you're product seeding. And this is where a lot of brands give away a big component of this because they don't have the right legalities in place from day one, right? The moves are simple. The weighting, the sequencing, and the structure of this is kind of the whole game. And I would argue it's not a strategy problem, right? Over half of the US TikTok shops sold nothing last year. It's not because the owners didn't necessarily understand the strategy, but the 5 killers on the left are all strategy obvious. But they fail because doing it right is an operations job every single week and every single day, really, when you're breaking down into this. I know I'm kind of going over time here, so I'm going to move along a little bit faster. I want to hand it off to Ben. But Eleviam, we're running both channels and showing you one P&L, kind of what this whole flywheel looks like. Both Amazon, TikTok, bring it all together. Just a quick recap. Channels got more expensive. TikTok owns discovery. Amazon validates it. And the halo effect is real, but leaks dramatically without the true ownership. Eleviam can run both your demand engine and then have Amazon as your profit engine to capture that. I'm just going to go here. If people are interested in this, here's my shameless plug, right? You could book a call, scan the QR code. We'll have a conversation. We are limited to how many people are actually taking on to this just because of the bandwidth and work and effort it actually takes to do this properly. Yeah, obviously interested to have a conversation with anyone who's ready and feels like this could be a good opportunity for them. So with all of that being said, let's see. Ben, Leave is up next. So I'm going to hand it off to you. And yeah, thanks for being here. Take it away.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you, Tom. That was actually really interesting. I've always, never really heard anyone quantify or have a way to quantify, I guess this, what you're calling the halo effect. Always kind of felt it, but never seen anyone really, quantify it or explain it that way. It was great.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So anyway, let me switch this. Sorry about that.
You're good. Take your time.
All right. So I think kind of tying on what Tom was talking about, what I'm going to talk about now and pretty quickly is going to be how CPG brands can fund their scale without starving their cash flow. There's a lot of, let's just get right to it. So basically the challenge that a lot of brands have, and I'm sure if you're watching this and you're operating a brand or you worked with brands, you probably experienced this yourself. But basically you're paying for growth up front and then you're getting paid for it later. Sometimes it's a couple day delay, sometimes it's a couple month delay. And that really comes down to a few things, right? First, your upfront build and manufacturing costs. In many cases, you're at least going to have to partially pay for packaging, branding, shipping, so that surprise testing that comes up, especially if, you're someone selling children's products now on Amazon, all of a sudden you have to get it tested every year. All these little things that you're going to have to pay for before you actually make your sales. Then you're going to have to do your production, your shipping. Let's say you're shipping from China. You got 2 months, 3 months on the water where you have to pay extra to fly it in. Then you pay for your customer acquisition, you're running ads. Maybe, for like Tom was talking about, you have that halo effect where you're generating sales and not making all of your profit on day one and getting it back from what you spend on your ads. And then you're collecting it, let's say on Amazon, or you're collecting it from the lifetime value of the customer when they reorder. The marketplace payouts, Amazon with all of their new payout rules, delaying when you actually get paid for the sales you made. And then if you're selling in retail, you have net terms where you're not getting paid when you deliver the product, you're getting paid on net 60, net 90, whatever it might be. And really what it comes down to is, the faster you scale, the more your cash gets trapped before it comes back to you. And as you keep scaling more and more and more of your cash is basically getting tied up. Most people go and turn to funding as a way to try to fix that. They try to get outside funding as a way to bridge that gap and pull that cash flow out faster so they can keep reinvesting in more inventory, more ads, et cetera. And the challenge is that a lot of the funding options out there really fight that lag instead of helping you cover it. And they fight that lag and they push against it with things like fast paybacks. Maybe it's daily or weekly ACH pulls, revenue sweeps, where the more you grow, basically the more you pay because you're paying a percentage of your revenue. Short terms, so you have 6, 12, maybe 24-month terms, and then you're going and having to refinance constantly while you're in the middle of growing, and that just makes cash even tighter. You're not really getting the full lifetime value out of a customer on day one, but you're basically paying for it on day one. And really the result is that you end up funding the lender, or basically paying back the lender and dealing with the lender on their timeline instead of your growth timeline. And it really just kind of hurts your growth in general. So what we like to do is we kind of like to look at and compare funding options. What we like to say is basically compare things apples to apples. And kind of look at a few things that a lot of people don't think about. So one thing to really keep in mind when you're funding your Amazon growth is a lot of the funders out there, their terms are all described differently. So it's not like you're getting a mortgage and you're getting a 30-year term and you're really just shopping around for rates and they're all 30 years and they're all going to have the same down payment and they're all the same terms. You're going to have people or funding options that have APRs. You're going to have funding options that have fixed fees. You're going to have funding options that have really complicated formulas based on your revenue with caps and minimums and all kinds of stuff like that. So what we like to suggest brands and business operators do is basically compare things apples to apples. So in this example, we're just going to look at 4 of the most common funding options, each with a $1 million offer, and kind of see how they compare apples to apples as you go down the funding flow. So all of these different options are going to give you $1 million. But with the revenue-based loan, let's say it's 25% of revenue. I know this varies a lot, but this is pretty standard in that range. Your monthly payment is going to be $181,000 on a $1 million loan. So you've got $1 million in funding to try to cover all of these funding gaps and grow your business. And now you have $181,000, which is probably going to be one of your biggest expense line items coming out of the business every month to pay the loan. With an amortizing loan, right? So that might be like a 12-month loan where you're making equal monthly payments, a more traditional loan. You're still paying almost $100,000 a month on a $1 million loan. And then you might get something like a private credit line where you're paying $15,000 a month on of interest only, and then you make a balloon payment at the end. And then you have options like Accrueme, where we give the merchants that we invest in the option to defer 100% of their payments for the life of the loan. So you actually don't have to make any payments, and you can basically just pay a balloon at the end. So the really important thing with these monthly payments is that's going to impact your average funds, right? So if you're paying $181,000 a month on a $1 million loan, you're basically paying it off in around 6 months. But during the life of that loan, yes, on day one, you have $1 million. But by month 3, you basically only have $500,000. And by month 5, you maybe only have $250,000 of the $1 million that you borrowed. So you really only have $500,000 to work with because you're making your payments so quickly. Same thing with an amortizing loan. Same idea, usually spread out a little more, but at the end of the day, you probably average around having $500,000 of the $1 million to work with because you're making so many payments. And then with a private credit line or Accrueme, in both those cases, you're either interest only or no payments at all, and you'll have $1 million basically to work with for the entire term of the loan. And that makes, a really big difference when you're trying to bridge a funding gap, right? If you're not taking that much cash out of the business, or zero in the case of Accrueme, all that money can keep going to inventory, ads, funding your growth and growing your business the way that you want to. And then there's also, the actual fees and the cash that you're actually, what you're actually paying. So a lot of times a revenue-based loan, for example, they'll have like a fixed fee, right? So maybe they'll give you $1 million and tell you it's a $100,000 fee, for example. And you'll think that's 10%, but when you really do the math, it's a 36 to 50% APR. With an amortized loan, usually those will have traditional APRs, let's say 14%. Pretty straightforward. Like that's the real interest rate. They're not necessarily hiding anything in those cases. Credit line, usually the same thing. The one thing with credit lines, a lot of times they'll have what we call like prime plus plus. So it'll be a prime rate, whatever the current, standard prime rate is, plus percentage point. And a lot of businesses will think that's their funding rate. But the reality is that there's also going to be a lot of things like in there, like minimum usage fees, underwriting fees, all that stuff that kind of adds up to a little bit more than you thought, but still pretty transparent. It's not like they're going to charge you 30 or 40% like revenue-based funding does. And then we have Accrueme where we usually basically make investments and have rates between 10 and 20%, and they're just kind of standard APR, so it's no trick or anything like that. So really the kind of key takeaway from this is not all $1 million loans are actually going to give you $1 million to work with over the term of the loan. And some of them can really have a negative, like a revenue-based loan or even an amortizing loan, can have a pretty negative and serious impact on your cash flow that isn't really projected or thought about before you take the investment. So kind of just the last thing about us, and if you are interested in funding. So basically, we offer private capital for the best CPG operators, right? We're trying to offer the best terms to the best businesses out there. So our terms are pretty transparent. We invest $50,000 to $5 million, 2 to 4 year terms, sometimes longer, flexible payments. So it could be interest only, basically pay when it makes sense for your business. There is no minimum draw or minimum fees or early termination fees, any hidden fees like that. And I've started this company in 2018 with my brother Sam, my dad, and another partner named Don. When we started this business, our goal is just to really offer the best terms to the best businesses. And every portfolio company we invest in works directly with my brother Sam, gets his phone number, cell phone number, and, can text them, call them anytime. So we're not, when you work with us, you're not just another number on a spreadsheet, like with some of these other groups. You are really, a portfolio company that we're trying to help grow. And if you're a company that we want to invest in, we'll basically match or beat any other funding offer you have. So really the point is to, just understand how your cash flow can be impacted by the funding that you take and how that can really impact your growth. And it, especially as you're growing, it could make things worse, even though you think funding is going to make your cash flow situation better. So hopefully that was helpful, and appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks, Ben. That was great. Yeah, cash flow is so important, and brands really have to get that locked in. So I think it's a great offer, and anyone interested in funding, go talk to Ben. All right, next up we have Seth, and Seth is the founder and CEO of Brand Expand, and I'll hand it over to you.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me, Tom. Appreciate it. For those of you who don't know Tom, we've been working with him for a while with him and Eleviam. He's an OG in the space. He spent hundreds of millions on ads, and I know he's put a lot of money into his brands and his agency. So if you're considering expanding on TikTok or Amazon, check him out. It's worth a quick call to jump on with Tom and see if he can help you out, create that halo effect that we're all kind of chasing. So on that note, I will jump into my presentation here. Let me know if you can see my screen. Good to go. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to talk about beyond PPC, how leading CPG brands accelerate organic growth on Amazon and other marketplaces, driving external traffic, increasing sales velocity, keyword rankings, and driving real marketplace growth through the technology that we've spent about 5 years building. On a quick background on me. So I built and exited a 7-figure business back in 21. I've sold on Amazon, Shopify, Walmart, eBay, Etsy. We built a sales acceleration software from the experience I had when I was selling. Basically, when I went to go exit, I saw an opportunity to be able to drive external traffic, get feedback, boost ranking BSR, basically own this high intent shopper network. And it helped my brand grow so much before exiting that I rolled it into a technology, and we now have done over 1 million orders, over 12,000 launch campaigns, sampling, seeding, product testing, product launch campaigns. I kind of use all those terms interchangeably. And we've helped brands drive 150 million in downstream revenue since 2021. So really quick, why great products never reach page one. This is going to be a lot of stuff everybody already knows, but I want to highlight, the problem first. Low organic visibility, right? You're buried on page 2 or 3 or even lower. So organic customers can't find you. PPC dependency. So Tom touched on this. Amazon's revenue from ads has doubled between 2021 and 2025. And that revenue that they're generating comes from third-party sellers. So you see this in your cost per click, your ACoS increasing, right? Your tacos increasing. And when you depend heavily on PPC, you're kind of handcuffed to this system that's going to continue to eat away at your profit margins. So you have to find another way, like doing TikTok launches, creating a halo effect, or driving net new customers through our network to your listings. You have to get creative and find additional ways to drive traffic rather than relying on PPC alone. Not enough reviews, another big problem, right? You see your competitors driving more reviews at ridiculous velocities, and you just can't keep up. Competitors dominate, so they're bidding on all of your most relevant keywords, and it's really expensive to grow. Just all in all, it's becoming very difficult. This is, I've taken a lot of calls with sellers and brands and agencies, and this is the common theme we hear over and over: is their margins are compressing, it's getting harder to scale, and they're trying to find creative ways to drive traffic. So depending on PPC alone is a losing game. You need a solution to drive external new customers to your products. So what is product seeding and sampling? Product seeding and sampling is a CPG growth strategy where brands place products in the hands of high purchase intent shoppers to gather feedback, insights, boost visibility, so more organic customers can find the product. We do a lot of very large CPG brands: SC Johnson, L'Oreal, Johnson & Johnson, Ricola. They continuously do product seeding campaigns because the reason it's so beneficial to get products, especially CPG, in the hands of consumers is because these are low margin, generally lower cost products. So the cost to do launching and seeding and sampling is generally a little bit cheaper. And you're getting new customers. More often than not, these customers are going to use the product. They're going to like it. They're going to continue to order it either through subscribe and save or repeat purchases. So the way it works is we seed the product, we target shoppers, they receive a free or discounted product through our network. We have over 35,000 high intent shoppers, over 1.2 million website views to our deal network. You're going to collect feedback. So we collect feedback on your product listing and then the post-delivery experience, essentially the entire customer journey. What is the customer sentiment around purchasing the product? What do they think about your listing? What do they think about the unboxing experience? And then we use AI to summarize all of that. And that's going to help you improve the customer journey and the experience overall, which is going to improve conversion rates and help spin this flywheel faster. And then drive growth. So sales, loyalty, more reviews and social proof, and marketplace momentum. I'll stop really quick and say Amazon is the primary marketplace where we drive traffic, but we've done over 30 marketplaces: Walmart, Target, eBay, Etsy, Chewy, really, you name it. They all work very similar in the way that their algorithms rank products. And for non-Amazon channels, we actually do review requests, which are fully compliant. They are non-incentivized. We ask for honest, unbiased reviews through our network. And we generally see anywhere from 10 to 50% review rate for non-Amazon marketplaces. So a lot of CPG brands will use us on Walmart or Target or even TikTok Shop just to get that social proof that's so imperative, especially early on in a product's journey. So this is kind of the flywheel: drive external traffic, boost sales velocity, get real purchases and organic growth. The whole purpose of our software is to spin this flywheel, this growth flywheel, at a much faster rate than if you were to rely on PPC alone or try to use one or two tactics, right? This is what many large CPG brands use in addition to ads, in addition to doing TikTok launches and getting a halo effect, Meta ads, Google ads, right? It's one other lever that you can pull that will help compound your brand's growth over time. Okay, let's move on. So really quick how it works. So there's a 4-step system that generates real purchases on Amazon and other marketplaces to drive ranking, visibility, and organic growth. So you launch a campaign, you're going to set your products, you're going to import them automatically. We don't have an API integration. We have a software that will scrape all the product details. You'll set up your keywords, your daily distribution goals, how the shoppers are going to get there. All of this is on the campaign setup. It's fully automated, so you could literally import a product, set up a launch, push it live to our audience in under 10 minutes and start getting sales. Shoppers are going to discover the product. You're going to get real purchases. You're going to get feedback. Again, we summarize with AI. You'll see what we call a launch summary dashboard, which shows all the feedback summarized with AI. It shows all of the purchases, your beginning, ending BSR, all the order numbers, etc. So it's all transparent in front of you. And this is going to drive growth and rankings, boost visibility, BSR, keyword, and organic sales. So again, real purchases, external traffic, verified buyers, AI summarized feedback. So just a couple case studies. We have, I think, over a dozen case studies that we can send you that are more comprehensive, where we kind of show all these metrics in more detail. So if you're interested, go ahead and ask us. We can send them over. But basically, a couple examples that were really successful. A grocery brand. This one, I believe, is like a ramen noodle brand. We saw a 28x ROAS, which is pretty phenomenal. It was stuck on page 3. We did a 33-day campaign with 14 units a day, and the top keywords increased 86%. So they all went from page 2, 3, all the way to the top of page 1. And so you can imagine if a customer is searching for their product, it's way easier to find. And so they're getting a lot more organic sales as a result of that lift. This supplement brand, this was a new product launch, 88% BSR lift. So 122 units over 23 days. The campaign was only 4.3K, but they went from 14 to 42,000 on sales after the campaign ended, and they also generated 44 new reviews. A beauty brand, we saw a huge spike in reviews. Again, for Amazon, we don't do review requests, but they come in organically. So if you have a 1 or 2% review rate, which is actually pretty good, but if you have, let's say, a 1% and you're getting 100 orders a month, you're going to go from 10 reviews, and we boost it to 200 orders a month, you're going to get 20 reviews. So For Amazon, they're going to come on organically. For other marketplaces, it's going to be more of a feature that we have where we actually request the reviews. So this one saw 145 new reviews, jump from 60K BSR to 10K. And, the net new reviews here was 145. So very successful campaign over 50 days. And then the last one, a wellness, 18x ROAS. This was a mature listing. So a lot of brands, have this idea that this is only for new products, that launches make sense. We've actually seen many case studies where certain categories like home and kitchen and health and household actually do better with more mature products, which is really interesting finding that we saw with this comprehensive case study we did. This one, 18x ROAS, only 1.7K in spend on our platform and jumped from 20 to 30 with 38 new reviews. Supplements, beauty, home and kitchen make up 50% of all of our campaigns. So that's the majority of all of our campaigns. They're the consumables, consumer packaged goods are the primary, are kind of our ideal customer profile because of how well they do, the sampling programs do in getting repeat purchases. Really quick, this is the comprehensive case study I was alluding to. So my team spent like 6 months looking at all the data we had. We were looking at beginning and ending BSR over 10,000 campaigns to determine the ROAS. And we found on average it was 8.11x was the exact ROAS that we saw across all these orders. So if you think a normal distribution curve, the very center would be 8x. Top 10% did 24x ROAS, so pretty phenomenal. And then average BSR improvement was 60.57. Average units over 30 days is around 270. So what was really interesting is when we broke down the tacos and we compared it to PPC, we actually found that more than half of our campaigns have better tacos than an average PPC campaign. So if you think about a 30% ACOS PPC campaign, you're driving 50% of sales organically, 50 through ads, the tacos comes out to 15%. If you do seeding campaigns with us, you do 100% ACOS, but given it's an 8x ROAS, your tacos actually comes out to 12.5%. So it's actually more sustainable in many cases than just running PPC alone. So, I always tell that to sellers because they're like, oh, if it's a free product, how is that worthwhile? Well, the data tells us that it is, it's worth it. Just really quick, I know I'm coming up on time here, but brands and agencies use us for new product launches, boosting keyword rank, driving external traffic, omni-channel growth. So again, we do all US marketplaces. Long-term growth, we have an evergreen BX feature where we charge half of rev share to extend the campaign to ensure you stay kind of ranked up. Review requests, gather more social proof. And then the big three specific use cases are seasonality. So we just had Prime Day. We saw a record number of orders go through our software right before Prime Day because all of these big brands want to be more organically visible when that huge buying season, that week came. Liquidation. So if you have long-term storage fees, you need to move some inventory, get that BSR ranked. That's a good use case. And even mature products, legacy products need a lift sometimes too. So running campaigns just to take your most relevant keywords and get them bumped up so more organic customers can find your product. That's another great use case. So that's it for me. My shameless plug here is a month free on our premium plan. Premium is our most popular plan. It's usually $695 a month. We do a month free just so you can see what that plan looks like. We also give you elevated service. We'll plug in $250 in campaign credits. So we'll essentially pay for your first sales through our technology, make it super easy and low friction for you to use the tech. And we'll also personalize launch strategy. We'll do a full catalog review. We'll help create campaigns and do keyword recommendations and unit distribution planning. So we'll basically sit down with you and say, let's review your catalog. What products make sense to launch? What products do we think will do the best through our technology? And then we'll kind of create the campaign structure, do keyword research and a listing analysis to set you up for success. So if you're interested, this is the link here. I'll go to the next page because it'll be on the next page. If you want to take a screenshot here, this is our discovery link. You can also sign up at brandexpand.io with one mo prem on the final step to get that month free, or reach out to success at brandexpand.io. And we look forward to seeing you if you're interested in using our technology to drive growth. Pass back to you, Tom.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth. Guys, everyone here, Seth is one of the sharpest operators I know, given that he's built, exited a brand, and also knows what it takes to do that. He's a great guy to go talk to and connect with. So next up, we have Shane, and he's the founder of TraceFuse. We've all dealt with those, fake competitor nasty reviews on Amazon, and Shane built the fix. So with that, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. And Seth and everybody, and Ben, man, awesome presentations, man. You guys are obviously adding tons of value. So I appreciate that. So great. As we said, my name is Shane Barker. I'm the owner of TraceFuse. I'm going to go ahead and kind of present to you guys, talking about obviously different things you can do in regards to getting reviews. And really our specialty is, getting rid of negative reviews, right? That's going to be our kind of our strong point. So can everybody see the screen? Are we good? Awesome. There we go. Cool. So what we're going to talk about is the hidden growth lever, right? What does this mean in regards to reviews that we get on Amazon? How important are these reviews? And they're really, at the end of the day, they're really the foundation for profitable Amazon growth, right? And some people realize that, some don't, but they don't realize that, hey, reviews aren't just a thing where somebody comes and sees if you have good reviews. It actually affects your PPC, affects a number of different things. We're going to go over that during this presentation. One of the things you want to think about when those reviews is that's really how customers look at, for Amazon, how they rank you. Also, obviously helps with conversions, and then advertisement costs, and then revenue as well. And as we said, I'm Shane Barker, owner of TraceFuse. We were the ones that actually started the industry of being able to remove negative reviews on Amazon. We have worked with over 850 brands. We've removed over 22,000 reviews for our customers. And we are fully compliant with Amazon. We've never had an account get suspended. And once again, because what we do is absolutely ethical. And once again, we're here to be able to help sellers. So great, let's take a look at what we got here. So what we're talking about is most sellers don't realize that when, they think that reviews are just like customer service based, right? And the hard part with Amazon is it's gotten harder, obviously, to be able to talk to customers because they've stopped that, right? So now it's even harder to give a refund or be able to reach out to a customer about making something right. So a lot of these reviews that come in, you feel kind of helpless if you get a bad review because if it's FBA related or if it has something that's outside of your control, what do you do to be able to get those removed? And when we started this about 6 years ago, first 2 years was a lot of R&D and trying to figure it out. When I went to a show, it actually was in Florida, a powwow, and nobody believed that we could remove these reviews. Sellers just said, hey, this isn't possible. This is just, it's a cost doing business. And we proved them wrong now, right? Obviously, it's us being the big fish in the industry. So reviews are growth assets, right? That's what you have to think about. It's not just a supportive metrics with what you've got going on. Your actual reviews, they affect your organic rankings, conversion rates, PPC performance, tacos, profit margins, and your brand evaluation. We've had companies that have come in and said, hey, we want to sell in 6 years. We want to clean up our whole portfolio, right? So they want to go in and clean up all those bad reviews, get as many removed as possible, which will increase, obviously, their sales, cut down their PPC costs. There's a number of things that affects. And once again, we're going to go over that today. So this is kind of the flywheel that we've got, right? So what we're looking at is how it all connects. So when you look at this, reviews drive the entire system on Amazon, right? So if you have great reviews, you have higher conversion rates, you have higher conversion rates, better organic rating, you have lower advertising costs, and you get more sales. But guess what? If you have bad reviews, the opposite is true, right? You're going to have obviously less sales. You're going to have a higher advertising cost. You're going to have lower organic rankings. And guess what? You're going to have a lower conversion rate. So a lot of people, what we see is that, if they're getting bad reviews, they're like, well, we just have to increase the PPC, right? We're going to have to add more money and do more things there. I always tell people, if you've got a bad foundation, you need to fix the foundation, right? You're not going to add 2 more, 3 more levels onto your house if you've got a bad foundation. So really, the reviews are going to be something you have to take a look at. The other thing I will tell you too, we had a customer reach out to us, was a really, really big customer. And what happened was she was actually losing Walmart and other companies that she wanted to get shelf space on. They were actually not giving her shelf space. They first they were going to start off as X amount of Walmarts, and then they started to cut it down. The reason why is because she was getting bad reviews on Amazon, right? And so these reviews started, what it was is she picked a political figure to represent the brand. Obviously, other people didn't like it. Anyways, it was a big thing that happened. My point is Amazon's reviews not just affects Amazon and their sales, but it also affects shelf space and other things, because people will go to Amazon, whether it be big companies or your consumers, and go and take a look at that and make that evaluation from those reviews. All right. So the buyer's trust, right? Because obviously that's what everybody wants, right? You want to be able to the buyer to be able to trust you. And what are we looking at? when somebody comes up to your Amazon profile, and we all do this, whether you realize it or not, so the first thing you do is you look at the reviews. That's just the first thing, right? It's up there. It tells you, hey, guess what? They've got a 3.8, or they've got a 4.2, or they've got a 4.9. Those star ratings are extremely important because guess what? They're going to take a look at that. That's the first thing they look at. And then they're going to maybe even look at some of the reviews. Now obviously Amazon makes it so now if you have 10,000 reviews, they give you a sentiment, right? With Amazon or Alexa for shopping, it'll give you a sentiment and tell you, hey, this is what people are having issues with, what they like, what they don't like. So that's why keeping on top of your reviews are very, very important. You know, we talked about the psychology of a buyer. It's funny, and we talked about this with a client or a potential client yesterday on a demo call. You know, he was saying, hey, you know, there's certain companies that people just automatically assume they're great because they've been around for so long. But when you really break down like what their product is, it's not quite as great of a product. There's better products out there, but at the end of the day, it's because they have good star ratings, right? And a lot of people are taking a look at these and they've been around for a long time. There are better products out there, but the idea of this is you want to make sure you're keeping that star rating up nice and high. And obviously that will, you know, your review quality obviously is going to be very, very important. The more recent reviews are going to be weighted heavier than your older reviews. So if you have a 1-star review from 5 years ago, it's going to be weighted a lot differently than a 1-star you just got a week ago. Those are weighted heavier because guess what? We have to assume in the last 5 years that you've improved the products and things have happened. Those 1-star reviews start to get worth a little less. I mean, not weighted as heavy. And another thing I will tell you is that a 1-star review, I've heard people go back and forth about the real numbers are, but anywhere from 8 to 25-star reviews. So they are not weighted the same. So a 5-star and a 1-star are never going to be weighted the same. Also negative reviews and then seller responses, right? So your star rating, what people see, what your consumers are going to see, that's really going to be their first impression. And as we always say, you want to make sure that first impression is a good one. All right. So next, we're going to talk about what is the difference if you drop down from a 4.3 to a 4.2. Now, some of us go, hey, that doesn't seem like that's too big of a drop. But if you've been a seasoned seller and been doing this for a long time, you will know that that is a huge drop. We've seen anywhere from 10 to 50% of sales that get lost. There's a few reasons for that. One is going to be you lose, you get that 4.3, you get that 4.5. If you go down to a 4.2, you lose that half a star, so you only see 4 stars. It might not sound like a big jump to you or a big drop to you, but I can promise you it is. We've seen clients, like I said, anywhere from 10 to 50%. That's going to have a huge impact on obviously lowering your cost per click. And it's also going to, your conversion rate's going to go lower, your organic and visibility is going to go down, your obviously increase ad spend, and then decrease your profitability, which are all things that you don't want, right? I mean, that's obviously not what we want. So 4.3 to 4.2, this is just an example. Cost or conversion rate can go down. We've seen this from one of our particular clients, 18% to 11%. ACoS 24 to 42, and that the ROAS from a 4.1 to a 2.1. Now, mind you, this is just 1.1 drop, right? This is not in theory, it shouldn't be a crazy drop, but if you look at these types of things, this is where you have to really kind of fix that foundation, right? You have to go in and get those reviews removed. If you just drop to a 4.2 from a 4.3, the good news is if we can get some of those critical reviews, those 1, 2s, and 3 stars removed, guess what? That means that you're going to be able to move up, hopefully back up to that 4.3. And then once again, you want to be proactive. And we're going to talk about that, about how you could be more proactive than reactive, right? Because that's what I always try to encourage sellers. It's one thing to go and something happening, oh, shoot, my sales just dropped 50%. Can you fix it? What we do is not an overnight fix, right? We don't file cases and get reviews removed within hours, right? It's going to take, we go through this process, we're going to file cases, we're going to send emails to Amazon. It's not a quick process. So if you're looking to fix this instantly, what I would recommend is before you drop down, hey, let us come in there, or at least have you monitor them yourself. And if you start to slip away, hey, hire a company like ours, or once again, you can try to do it yourself as well. I'm going to give you some tools to do that for free. So Amazon rewards products that convert, right? So this makes sense. Higher conversion rate equals better keyword rankings, more organic sales and traffic, obviously, and then lower dependency on PPC, which once again, PPC is awesome and it goes great, but as we're all saying, it's starting to go up every year. Amazon's making more money, so guess what? It means you're making less money in theory, right? Because your PPC costs are going up. So these are all things that you want to make sure that you're once again taking control and monitoring those reviews. So as we talked about, higher tacos, higher PPC, lower margins, all these things, bad reviews at the end of the day are expensive, right? Whether we look at them and now historically we would say, hey, there's nothing we can do. This sucks. There's nothing. Now you can, right? I'm telling you, we've done it 22,000 times for our customers. We work with some huge brands. So in fact, probably a lot of the guys on this call, we work with some of the same brands. That's how I know these guys. So What we're going to look at is, so Amazon, we're going to talk about is what is in violation of Amazon's guidelines. So what do we as TraceFuse, what do we go after? So here go some examples of things that we go after. So competitor attacks. So our software not only takes a look at, the velocity of reviews, but it takes a look at the actual reviews. So if a competitor comes in and attacks you, what we do, and let's say you have a toothpaste, right? And your toothpaste is very similar to this other toothpaste. And this buyer comes in and keeps buying your toothpaste and giving you a 1-star review. Well, guess what? That's not how we work as consumers. If you hate a product, you don't go buy 10 more, right? That's just a basic understanding. That's just statistics. But guess what? When we go, when our software will flag that, we go and take a look at that. Our filers, which are humans, we do all manual filing, would take a look at that. And then guess what? If they just happen to be buying your competitors' products and only giving them 5-star reviews and your products are very similar, then we file an escalation case with Amazon, right? And say, hey, we need to get this buyer's account removed. So that's doesn't happen all the time. Most of the stuff that we go after are going to be against Amazon's own guidelines where where you can't mention, profanity, or you can't mention other competitors, off-topic reviews, incentivized reviews where it says, hey, I got a $25 gift card for this. Or false claims. That's another one that we can take a look at as well. The other side of this is FBA related stuff. So if something got shipped out late, broken, or used, those are all things that can be a shipment problem. Amazon's not perfect. Walmart's not perfect. At the end of the day, we can take a look at those and say, hey, this thing was shipped, it was broken, this happened. Can you get these reviews removed? Amazon removes a lot of those, but guess what? Still, some of them get through. And either A, you can file a case or send an email to Amazon, or you can hire somebody like TraceFuse to be able to get those reviews removed for you. So what should sellers never do? Don't ever buy reviews, right? I know that we have the Vine program. I know it's not perfect. If you have a product that needs tons of explanation, Vine program might not be for you, right? If you're brand new to the market and stuff. If you are a toothpaste, I would have to imagine most people know how to use toothpaste. Not vouching for everybody, but I have to imagine that they probably know how to do it. Hey, you put on your toothbrush, you use it. Should be pretty easy. But don't incentivize reviews, right? Don't offer refunds for review removal. You can offer a refund, but you can't say, if you remove this review, I'll give you a refund. Don't do black hat tactics. That will catch up with you if you want to build a long-term brand. And then contact reviewers improperly, right? So you want to make sure you're still professional. What you definitely need to do moving forward, though, especially with a lot of these AI tools that are coming along, is monitor your reviews daily, right? And I'll show you how to do that. Identify policy changes or violations that are happening. Document evidence, right? So that's when you're building a case, that's going to be a very important thing. Take the emotion out of what you're filing, what you're sending to Amazon. Amazon does not work for you. So guess what? Create a documentation and saying, hey, this is against your guidelines. This is the guidelines that it breaks. This is the thing. And then you break it down. You don't need to make it 18 paragraphs. You can make it very simple. And then what you want to do is make sure you're always following Amazon's guidelines. You don't want to do anything to give Amazon any reason to click the little red button to knock you down. And then you got to go in and try to figure that out. Like I said, we are fully compliant with Amazon and never had any account get suspended because of any of the stuff that we do. We pride ourselves on that, very much so. All right. So great. So let's talk about this. So we already talked about some of this, how, lowering, how review, how can it impact all of these things, and, why it's that important. But what I do want to show you is this. This is going to be a practical review. This is the framework. So what you need to do is start monitoring your reviews on a daily basis. You want to identify policy changing or violating reviews. You want to document the supporting evidence. And you want to submit compliant review requests, right? So you want to be able to let them know, hey, what the issues are with these, and then you need to be able to track these results. And once again, all these things affect these 5 things that we've been talking about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys something. So this right here is a free tool that we created this tool mainly for brands so they can go in and see, hey, does this make sense to use TraceFuse, right? You can try it on your own. I'll give you all the tools to be able to do that. But what you're going to see here is I'm going to show you guys this. So if you guys go over to tracefuse.ai, right, this is it. This is the owner right there. Look at that guy smiling, huh? Right, 22,000 reviews, 850 customers, 25% removal rate, which is the highest. My point of this is you go up to the Amazon review checker. You can go into here. You guys can put in your ASIN. You click check reviews. What that will do is you're going to go and verify your email address. That's going to create a report for you. And guess what? That report is going to look just like this. The value of this report is this. This report is going to say, hey, here goes your reviews. You can obviously click on them and see them. There was a review title. This is the star rating, whether it's a 1, 2, or 3. Those are the only ones we go after, which are critical reviews. And it talks about why it's compliant or not compliant with Amazon's guidelines. So this is the software that's proprietary to us that we use. We don't use Claude or anything like that. This is something that we've been building this for before AI was a popular and everybody was using it. So what you can do is take a look at this, figure out which reviews are in violation of Amazon's guidelines, and you can go and file those on your own. Then go ahead and try it yourself. Once again, tool's free to do that. If you can't get those reviews removed, once again, we will always be here. We'll always be here to help. And if you have any questions, I can also include, we have a PDF that we've created too on actually the different places to file with Amazon. So if you need that information, once again, please reach out to us. You can go ahead. This is the owner as well. This guy's Shane Barker. I like to talk in third person at the end. You know, it makes me build up the credibility there. You guys can obviously go to the website, TraceFuse.ai. And then you guys can also go over to LinkedIn. I just hit 1 million impressions a month on LinkedIn. We're very, very, very active on LinkedIn. Go ahead and connect with us over there. It's just put in Shane Barker. You'll see my smiley little face. And if you want to get either this presentation, or if you have questions about how to use the Amazon review checker and you want that PDF, just reach out to me, Shane at TraceFuse.ai, and we'll send you over the PDF, and you can go ahead and use our tool for free. And if you can remove those reviews, that's awesome. If you can't, guess what? We will always be here to help. So once again, hey, Tom, everybody, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Shane, thank you for that. And yeah, reviews are incredibly important. And if, when I touched on going through our deck initially, 90% of people check Amazon before they make a purchase. There were a couple questions in the Q&A. Just really quickly, do you work with Amazon review or with TikTok reviews, or is that not something you guys do at this time?
So we're actually looking into it right now. That's the only reason
Okay.
I'm smiling. So that is absolutely something that we're trying to figure out right now.
Okay.
But yes, we're looking into it. We're doing that, and we're actually going to be also going right now. We do Canada, UK, and US. We're actually going to be breaking into the EU as well. So that's another thing. But yes, we'll be looking at the TikTok stuff. Hopefully next time I talk to you guys, we'll have that set up with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. And there's one other question that we'll just hit really quickly. And there's a review they want removed. The product was damaged, which was caused by Amazon FBA. Amazon said they couldn't remove it due to it being 90 days older than 90 days, essentially.
Yeah, you can still file on those. Don't let 90 days or not. That's still Amazon's issue, right? That's not an issue with your product. So there is no timeline. As long as you can see the review and you can file on it, you should be able to get that removed. There's no, I mean, that's like saying that, something bad happened to you and after 90 days, you can't do anything. Well, you still can do something after that 90 days. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And that brings us over to Avinash, who is done a few of these together, I think, at this point. And great to see you again. Thanks for being here. Co-founder of SellerMate, and I'll let you take it away.
Thanks a lot, Tom, and great presentation, Shane. Thank you so much. I think this was my first presentation with you, and I think I sort of learned a lot about the reviews. I didn't know a lot of that, to be very honest, very upfront about it. I will share my screen, and do let me know once you can see it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So to that end, let me set some context for who I am, and I'm Avinash. I'm co-founder of SellerMate. We are a SaaS tool that specializes in PPC on Amazon. We don't just restrict ourselves to PPC. We also do a lot of stuff around inventory, retails, reporting. We have a bunch of things about that we do with agencies. But the topic here, TikTok, obviously a lot of folks talked about it, and obviously Seth sort of, I really like the way Seth put it, like you're really making money on Amazon if you're selling it organically, and I think that's where a lot of and that's one of the primary reasons why a lot of people are interested in TikTok, because then you can drive traffic into Amazon from TikTok, get that sales velocity, get that organic ranking boost. But what a lot of studies have also found out is close to 41% of Amazon's sales come from external channels, and TikTok being an increasingly big external channel right now. But before I jump into why and how you should be capturing that growth when it comes to the side of Amazon. So, Seth spoke about how you can generate a lot of these things on TikTok and then drive the traffic towards Amazon. But what I would like to focus as a part of this presentation is, once the user lands on Amazon, what is it? First of all, how do you know that they're landing on Amazon from TikTok? how do you know you are capturing the demand, or how do you know you should be capturing that demand? And then I would also like to focus on what are the metrics that you should be looking at. But before I jump into that, I'll talk a little bit about SellerMate. Started back in 2023. I've been building AI products for the last 12 years now. Same for my co-founders. This was sort of like a third company, founded in 2023. In a year, we were working with 300 brands, and currently we're working with close to 3,500 brands. We work with a lot of large agencies globally. And what we specialize in is what we call as white box automation, which is a way for you to build your strategy on Amazon without getting bogged down in specifics of actions to be taken, or without you giving up control over your strategy to a black box AI. Coming to TikTok, and this is what a lot of people have already talked about, like there's a huge uptick in traffic that comes from TikTok towards Amazon. We saw a bunch of numbers being thrown around, all of which point to this is here to stay. This is a trend that Amazon is rewarding sellers for, because any traffic that you get on your product page or on your Amazon page from external sources, especially TikTok or even Google or Meta, Amazon is going to reward you. And that contributes significantly to how you are ranking organically. But organic ranking is not the only thing you can do with that sort of traffic. And I want to specifically focus on three things that you should be looking for if you are starting with some TikTok ads or some influencer marketing. And to be very honest, it can be out something else in TikTok as well. But there are metrics that you should keep your eye on when it comes to such sort of external marketing, so that you know that whether you are successful or not. So, and we work with a lot of brands that do this, and the best way, and this has come from experience working with them, figuring out how do they measure the impact of whatever marketing is being done outside of Amazon and its impact on Amazon, right? So the first and the biggest metric, and that I think a few folks have already covered, is branded search velocity. A simple way for you to do is check for your branded search impressions. If your PPC spend has not gone up on your branded terms, but your branded search volume is going up, your marketing is working. It's as simple as that. It's not a rocket science, to be very honest, but it directly points to you using your external marketing to drive traffic to Amazon. And it results in two big things. First is it results in Amazon valuing your brand a little bit more, because typically your brand conversion rate and ROAS is better than your generic keywords. It also results in Amazon further validating that this is a very relevant keyword for your listing, and rewarding you with a little bit more benefit in your CPCs. Second thing, and this is something that has started to come up now, is AI surface share of voice. We all saw Amazon, which was Rufus earlier, now being merged into Alexa. And you will start seeing this in your search term results. I think they already rolled it out in the US. They have not rolled it out in a lot of other geographies. But you can see, instead of search terms, you now have search queries complete that customer is asking for. So what's happening is customers are now describing what they want. And it's not 90% right now for sure, but this is catching up. So what's happening is the way customers are searching for products is now changing. And the question for you is your product coming up in that top 5? I know page 1 is the goal, that's an ideal place to be, but for you to feature on that query, you need to be in top 5. And Amazon AI algorithm needs to identify you as a good product with a very relevant score on that query for you to be in that top 5 range, and being shown if the results are being driven by AI. A lot of this is very inconsistent across the world. We work with 20 plus Amazon marketplaces. Some places we are seeing this more, and some places we are seeing this less. But increasingly we are seeing the way the customers are now asking questions or searching for products is shifting, and the shift is here to stay because of this huge wave of AI that we have seen recently. The third metric is new to brand. Ideally, I would want you to benchmark before you start your TikTok before, and then see if you are seeing a needle being switched in that, in your Amazon because of that campaign. Now, these three metrics, and why I want to focus on this is a lot of times, and this has happened with us as well, and we have learned this over time. When somebody starts a marketing campaign, they want to know what's the real outcome, and a lot of times people, the answers are vague because there's no benchmarking that was done before they started the campaigns, and then there's no way for anybody to quantify if something that they are doing outside of Amazon has impacted their, let's say market share or ACOS or, search volume or organic rankings on Amazon. So measuring these becomes even more important for you. And, when I talk about this, so first of all, the biggest thing and the most basic thing that you should be doing is you need to be owning your name. And I don't mean just by PPC. Obviously you need to rank organically, but a lot of time we do suggest to a lot of our customers, don't spend way too much on your own branded search terms because you probably already own the customer. But what you need to look out for is also whether your competitor is trying to hijack the traffic that you are generating via your branded search volume. And that's one of the big risks that comes with external marketing. So let's say you spend a ton on generating traffic from TikTok or any other external source. If a customer comes back to Amazon, searches for your brand, you should be present. It's cheaper for you than generic keywords. I know it's not ideal for you to be spending on your branded search terms. At least, it shouldn't be 50, 60, 70% that we see in a lot of places, but you should still be spending on your branded search terms, so that if you are driving some traffic from external sources, you need to be spending here as well. Otherwise, you are just generating a traffic that your competitor is capturing. I'd already talked about AI. With AI, it becomes even more binary. If you are in top 5, you are there. If you're not in top 5, there's hardly any way for customer to browse you, to your ranking, which might be 50, 60, second page or third page. Increasingly, it's going to get difficult for you to capture that traffic. By the way, if you're not aware, prompts were auto-enrolled for a lot of you in Amazon. You can go check your Amazon ad console and you will see that, prompts are paid. Now you are paying for those prompts, but if you're not optimizing for those, then you are losing money there as well. Then the third one is recapture. So see, there's a lot that you can do while doing TikTok and making that relevant to Amazon. The biggest one that we figured out was using DSP. You can integrate your audience, you can integrate your traffic data from TikTok and use that in Amazon DSP or targeting, and use that to target people who have already interacted with your ads or at least have seen your product on TikTok or other channels. It requires a little bit more integration of your external data with Amazon, but this is a great way for you to be targeting those customers. And one benefit that you get on top of that, and I think Amazon might not always do this, but in certain geographies you get up to 10% back via brand referrals if you're driving external traffic to Amazon via either DSP or via some or via other sources. Wrapping it up, so what, going back to what I wanted to focus on, when you are starting on these TikTok ads, the great ads, by the way, our customers have seen phenomenal results. Some of the people here already showed you the numbers. Make sure that you're ready on Amazon before you start thinking that TikTok is going to change everything, or TikTok is going to change the way your Amazon account is behaving. You have to be ready. You have to be ready to capture that demand. And you have to be ready that you are able to defend your position if you are able to drive traffic. If you want to talk more you can reach out to me. You can reach out to anybody in my team. I have a QR code here that takes you directly to the booking link, and we can definitely discuss a little bit more about it. I'll be more than happy. Thank you so much for the yeah. Thank you so much for having me here. Uh,
Avinash, thank you. And
thank you.
spot on. I mean, I think everyone's kind of hit on this today, but you bringing up branded search terms and making sure you're defending those, right? Running self-defense, PPC on your listings, so you're actually capturing that awareness and ensuring you can convert it. All super important things here. Reviews, in 2026, with how expensive every channel has gotten, you kind of have to have multi-channel, multi-approach here, and everybody here has something to help out any brand that is on here today. So with that all being said, next up is Kamal, and founder of AMZ One Step, and I'll let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Tom, and super excited to be here. First of all, yeah, excuse me for the blue light protection glasses. Somebody recommended me. They're like, oh man, like I think you spend pretty much all day on your screen. You better, I don't know how effective that's going to be, but I'm going to try that for 1 week. So if you guys don't know about me, my name is Kamal. I'm the founder of AMZ One Step. What AMZ One Step does, it helps Amazon sellers with their click-through rate and conversion rate with better pictures, videos, A+ content. And now with over a decade of experience, we have built an amazing software. It's called Listing Optimization.ai. What it does, whatever we have learned in the past 10 years, like how to make good images, we have converted that into a software. And now sellers don't need to pay tens of thousands of dollars to agencies. You can get high converting, high quality agency level designs and pictures, using software, using AIs. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you guys today. So how to, build a high converting image tag, and if we're selling internationally, how to translate them within few clicks. So it's going to be very hands-on kind of presentation. So I'm going to quickly share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see that. Tom, give me a thumbs up. Okay, awesome, sounds good. So let me figure something out here. Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick an ASIN, any random ASIN on Amazon. So I'm gonna go to Amazon. So let's probably go to this listing, and I'm gonna copy their ASIN. So then I come to listing optimization.ai, and paste the ASIN. If the listing is not live, you can also click on keyword and upload the product pictures there. Choose the marketplace, make sure it's the right marketplace. And then you can also, if you want to generate premium A+ content, click over here. And if you want to choose your own competitors, you can, but AI will also choose the competitors for you if you don't click over here. It's completely optional step, but it's highly recommended that you choose your own competitors, which are the highest, which are the most relevant. So I'm going to cancel that. I would let AI pick my competitors. You can pick your custom branding as well from the product, or if you have branding saved, or if you want AI to fetch from your website, you can get that done. So I'm going to let AI pick from my product and click on generate. So what it is doing right now, it is going to take a look at all your listing images, your bullet points, your reviews, your competitors' listing images, your competitors' copy, all their images, and it's going to build a very detailed market intelligence report. This is something that we used to spend 2 days manually back in the days when AI was not a thing, before we even touched the images part. Everything was done, like looking at every single negative review, every single positive review, see exactly who's the right customer avatar, what are their pain points, what are their decision-making factors. So that's exactly what we were doing manually, and now this software does that automatically. So for example, it has automatically picked all these competitors. So now it's going to their listing and it's doing a review analysis. So I picked a listing already, which is, which I started about 10 minutes ago, which is almost ready. So what it does, it also reads all their reviews, like, 5-star reviews, 4-star, 2-star, like, all the reviews will, it's going to extract really, really good information. And you can have up to 20 competitors and up to 2,000 reviews analyzed before even a single image is generated. So it's very extensive research. So why it's that important? So important because the image you can like tell AI like, hey AI, make me 7 images. It will make that for you, but that won't move the needle. The really high converting images, they're derived from the data. The image sequence is derived from the data. So that's why it's very important for you to look at all the competitors and all those reviews. So it's building those customer avatars. It has analyzed 1,100 reviews over here, 10 different competitors, 4 different customer avatars were built, and now it extracted all the creative angles and it's building a brief right now. So I'm going to let it run for about few minutes, and it should be ready, in about a minute or two. In the meantime, I'll show you how exactly once the campaign is finished, this is exactly what it would look like. On top, you will see some main image options. By default, you will see 3 main images. One of them would be perfectly Amazon compliant. One of them would be slightly on the gray area where it will give you some main image CTR tactic that you can split test. Also, one option would be somewhere in the medium range, at least give you some options for you to go and split test on Amazon. And if you want to generate more, you can always click over here and generate more images. You can explain AI, or you can pick from the template. So over here, like there's a bunch of winning templates. You can pick a template that you want, for example, this one, and click generate. And AI will generate that image for you. Apple is just a placeholder, but these are all like great main image ideas that I can go to PickFu and split test them. That's option number one. These are the secondary images. Let me see if okay, so that campaign is still running. So these are the secondary images. Talking about every single feature over here, it's talking about like an SPF 50, it's broad spectrum. Over here, it's talking about 80 minutes, water resistant, it's a spray on, gentle on skin, like chemicals free, it's a Hawaii compliant, it's giving the drug facts over here, some lifestyle images. I mean, pretty much everything that your listing needs in order to be successful and for high conversions. You can also take a look at this creative strategy. And if you think something is missing, like for example, vitamin E moisture shield image is missing, I can click on the plus icon and I can add that in. I click over here and I will have a vitamin E image in about a few seconds here. I'm going to let it run in the background so you can take a look at the creative strategy, like, feel good formulas, ethics. So this part is also missing. So I can quickly go ahead and add that in. These were like angles which were found to be true, but AI did not find like any evidence on your listing that these are true for your listing too. But if you think these are true, for example, these are all the features mentioned in your competitor's listing. So if let's say alcohol-free or dye-free formula, you can just, if it's true for your listing, click on the plus button and it will be done. So that's number one. Let's take a look at okay, so this is still running, but let's go back to the images. So this is the image that I've just added, and AI made that main image for me, which is like, high converting. If I wanted to remove those capsules or gummies, I can easily do that. What I need to do is maybe, let's say, if you want to do something, you can click on the edit button, and AI over here is already suggesting what kind of changes I should be making or I need to make to make this image better. So it'll take about like 10, 15 seconds. For example, remove the coconut vitamin E, okay, so it's giving me some options to improve this image. So that's one part. And over here, same thing, vitamin E image was missing. So let's say if I click on the edit button, it's going to analyze and give me some ideas what else I need to do to make changes. So it will give me 5 different copy ideas, like headline and sub-headline ideas, and the product presentation ideas. So let's give it about 5 more seconds and it should pop up. All right, so these are my different copywriting options. If I'm not happy with this copy, I can click over here, click generate, and my image will be, changed. I can take a look at the scene and setting. I can also take a look at in product presentation. So it's giving me all those recommendations, what needs to be changed or what you should be changing. It thinks like a creative director. And lastly, the marketplaces, this is what we want. You can also, if you have variations, you can easily scale And with one click, you can clone with all those images, as you can see over here. And same thing with the marketplaces. Let's say you also sell this product in German market, or you want to sell in German market. Let's say France, Japan, and maybe Italy, China. So let's take these 5 examples. So I'm going to click next. And now what AI is doing, it's looking at your product picture in those marketplaces, because sometimes the product shape is changed or product label is changed in a different marketplace. So AI will try to find the image in that marketplace, or you can just upload a new one, or you can just use the image as is. So I'm going to use the image as is and click on next item. And I'll have to, like, for example, I'm going to uncheck all because I only want to translate one with the copy. Let's maybe translate this image. So I have lots of images because I don't know waste credits over here. So let's just go with this one image just for an example. So I click on generate, and within a minute or two, I will have this image translated into all the languages. But you can do it for I unselected all, but you can do it for pretty much every single language out there that which Amazon supports. So the same campaign I have generated, and it's generating the images right now. It takes about 10 minutes to generate the campaign. So right now, okay, so when you put in the ASIN, this will be the output, and this is exactly how the output is going to look like. Let's take a look. And we're almost done, guys. This is option number 1, perfectly Amazon compliant. Option number 2, one with the product packaging. And this is like a new image, the third image coming up for the main image. That's my mother image. Take a look at this, guys. I mean, this is beautiful. These are beautiful images. Like, an agency would charge you so much. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to take my blue light filter glasses just to see. I mean, me being an agency owner, I have seen lots of good designs. I've seen lots of bad designs. I mean, this is incredible. This is absolutely, like ready to go on Seller, like to upload on Seller Central. So this is what you can do if you use listingoptimization.ai in few minutes, and you don't have to pay agencies. And if I share this listing, take a look at their current images. Like, it did not, everything is like, I mean, like, is brand new. I mean, there's even if you don't have great images, AI will apply a design system, a really good design layer for you guys. Let's take a look if I have the Premium A Plus content ready. Okay, so I'm going to click on Premium A Plus content. It takes about 30 seconds, maybe up to 60 seconds, because Premium A Plus content is a big, massive image. So I think I should have that generated over here somewhere. If I go to Premium A Plus content, not here, but yeah, it's generating right now. Once this is done, then my presentation is also finished. But if you guys are still listening, like, let me know, what do you guys think of these images in the chat or Q&A section? Like, do you think that would you have got these quality images in less than 10 minutes using, like maybe in 1 week? Let's say if you hired a freelancer or Fiverr or hired an agency, like how close, like, I mean, even it's not that close, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's take a look at Premium A Plus content. Yeah, it's still generating, but I don't want to take a lot of your time, because it does take 60 minutes, 60 seconds to generate, because it's a big image. But yeah, let's take a look. Thumbs up. Yeah, if you want to look more closely, you can also like upscale. For example, here's like another part. Like, for example, this text is a little bit broken. And what you can do, you can always click on the 4K upscale, and it's going to upscale to 4K, and all of your blurry text and good stuff will be fixed. You can edit the prompt. If you want to upload your own reference image, you can also do that. You can, you can choose a different reference image from the ASIN. There's lots of options here. Let's take a look at marketplaces. So this is my German image that I just clicked on a few minutes ago. That is ready, and other images are also getting ready. And nothing else was changed, just the language was changed to German. If my premium A+ content is not ready, then it is ready. Take a look at this. That's it. I'm going to go back to Tom, but if you guys have any questions, happy to take them on. But this is something incredible, that opportunity that Amazon seller never had, before AI. So that's my presentation,
No,
Tom. Yeah.
thank you so much. Well, that was great. And the one thing that comes to mind is translating between countries is a huge perk there. I don't think I've seen anybody else do that as of now. And the time to value for both brands, agencies, et cetera, is massive, right? What used to take a week for one ASIN, you can do in 20 minutes with some revisions following potentially. So thank you so much. No, that was great. But I think that should kind of conclude everything. Unless people have questions, we can jump into a kind of a Q&A session here. But if anyone wants to drop anything in Q&A, that'd be great. But I want to say thank you again to everyone that joined today, and great presentations. I know I learned a lot. I also clearly have to learn how to turn my background, the right way, because everything's inverted currently. I picked that up, partway through the presentation, but cool. Well, yeah, I think if there's no other questions, then we'll kind of conclude here. But I appreciate everyone getting on, and I learned a few things. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the detailed information. And again, all these guys here are killers in their domains, and highly recommend reaching out to each one of them.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Great.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.